Welcome to the video that will explain how to use Fatality within the Lethality rotation and how to properly space it with the uses of your Shiv. So first of all, here is the passive, Fatality. Shiv triggers Fatality, which makes your next Corrosive Assault regrant tactical advantage and cost no energy. This effect cannot occur more than once every 10 seconds. That 10 seconds is affected by Alacrity, so no matter how much you stack or take away, it will always be 6 global cooldowns between each Shiv. So that is Shiv, 6 global cooldowns, and then your next Shiv will be the soonest that you can trigger it again. I've tried everything from 0 to about 30 Alacrity. I haven't gone past that, but from there nothing will change that amount of global cooldowns necessary. So why is it useful to keep Fatality up as much as possible? Well, Shiv in your rotation doesn't really do anything besides just give you some damage and a tactical advantage. I believe Shiv does make the target susceptible, if we put it here. Yeah. So damage taken from tech attacks is increased, but that's on a 45-second timer. You won't need to keep that up more than Shiv has a 5.3 second cooldown for me at my standard Alacrity use. I don't think I'll ever delay it that long that it needs to be kept up. So, as far as we know right now, Shiv is just for damage, a little bit of damage at that, and the tactical advantage. Of course, tactical advantage go into Corrosive Assault, so the more of those you have, the more damage you have. Corrosive Assault is by far the most damage you have in your rotation, so maximizing them is best. Fatality essentially doubles the tactical advantages you get from Shiv for your use in Corrosive Assault. So doubling it will double its effectiveness, quite plainly. If you use Shiv and you have a Fatality, it is twice as effective for your Corrosive Assaults as one without a Fatality, so it's more useful to use them that way. Now, as you'll notice, Shiv's cooldown 5.3 seconds, it kind of lines up with the 10 seconds of a Fatality. It does decently, so if you keep Shiv on cooldown, absolutely, it's okay. It'll delay it a little bit more than if you just did the Shiv 6 global cooldowns and then Shiv, but in a pinch, if you know you cannot get those 6 GCDs, using it on cooldown will be your next best thing. I will have a star parse timer for Fatality on how to get that to work up, along with its Republic counterpart, which I don't remember the name of at the moment, but I will have on the guide. So you can easily see from there how to create your own timer and how to make them pop out on your star parse, so you can see those instead of counting the GCDs. For the sake of this video, I will be counting the GCDs to show you how it works. Now, as I was saying before, the 5.3 seconds, if you take my Alacrity away from this, its normal cooldown is 6 seconds, totaling it on cooldown being 12 seconds. So that's a bit more than the 10 normally for Fatality. Again, as I said, better to delay it. Now, I will go through a standard just little opener showing you how we delay this and how it's useful to make sure that we always keep Fatality. So, both listen to the numbers that I count. I'll be counting each GCD I use after the Shiv, or I'll be counting them until I realize that I cannot do it that time, and then I'll try and use Shiv on cooldown so that it's next up as soon as possible. But also watch my buff bar for the Fatality procs. It does look like this, the little blue silhouette with a bit of pink in there. So, standard opening. I'm going to go through my usual. So now, Fatality. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Toxic Blast is up, and then we'll re-trigger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to use this 6, so then I get that Fatality. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need another one, so I'll halt reverse 6. Fatality. 1, 2, 3. It's not going to happen this time. I'll keep it on cooldown. And now we just wait, and we want to use it as soon as possible again. But I have 2 TAs, so I'm going to use one up, and then I'll get the Fatality. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we get it. Now, it wasn't actually a proper rotation, but you're getting the idea of how to space these out. 3, 4, 5. I actually believe that was 6, sorry. There we go. I saw it on my start-first timer, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fatalities up. 1, 2, and so on. So all while maintaining my other cooldowns, making sure that my corrosive dart and corrosive grenade are maintained as they properly should be, my lethal strike up as much as possible. Toxic Blast is still over Shiv. Even if Shiv's going to grant you the Fatality, Toxic Blast is much better. So, as you saw in the very beginning, I believe my second trigger of Fatality, I delayed just a second for Toxic Blast because it was up at the same time as my Fatality was. But in that case, it's okay to do Toxic Blast. You can, of course, do that. Toxic Blast is a very good move, and its debuff it gives, literally called Toxic Blast, very useful, a lot of damage. You want to keep that up as much as possible. So that's the use of Fatality. You'll notice most of the time I was trying to squeeze extra corrosive assaults in with Stim Boost or Hollow Traverse, because I do have, at the moment, the Circumvention utility. That's the most effective way to bridge them, and in fact, I use these cooldowns 90% of the time to make sure that I can bridge far enough into a Fatality without having to use an Overload Shot. However, it is worth using an Overload Shot to delay one GCD to get a Shiv, or to get your Fatality Shiv, rather than a normal Shiv. Say I had done it, and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in the 6th one, I can either Shiv again, and it won't grant me that tactical advantage, or I can Overload Shot, and then Shiv, and we'll get it again. I delayed that a lot just for the sake of example, and normally those rifle shots I did would be the standard rotation of other things anyway. I wouldn't go so far as to delay it twice with Overload Shot. That's a bit excessive at that point. You probably should have kept Shiv on cooldown rather than do so much delaying. You're losing a bit of damage there. It could still be useful, and in fights it might be more beneficial to do that as such, but you know, in general, Stim Boost and Hollow Traverse are your best ways to bridge that in a fight. Sometimes you might want to use Tactical Superiority, in which case you'll use that and regrant the TA with Stim Boost or Hollow Traverse if you have this utility. But you know, for the most part, Stim Boost and Hollow Traverse go directly into making sure that I have enough of that. The 10% Alacrity buff in Stim Boost is covered a bit in the guide, but for the most part, it's not too useful to you. You can squeeze in a couple extra global cooldowns, but the 10% Alacrity does screw around with your dot timings a little bit, which makes it an iffy cooldown at best. For the most part, it's most useful just for the tactical advantage, and in a fight, if you really need the defensive on Revitalizers, it's also very useful. If you're taking a serious amount of damage on a harder difficulty, popping Stim Boost mitigates that by a lot, and sometimes you'll need it more for that. Remember, surviving is always better than doing damage. A dead DPS is no DPS, as the wise people say. But that will be it for this. This is not a rotation guide, this is just the counting and showing how to use Fatality effectively. So I hope this was insightful to you, and now you can space your Fatalities properly.